Welcome to my latest little torture session. Can you beat Final Fantasy IX using only items? Well, I'm sure right now a lot of you are scratching your head thinking there are no items in the game that deal damage. So, how are we going to do it? Well, in order to understand this, we need a boring history lesson, which is actually super important. So, let's talk about the items. There are 6 items in the game which we can use for this run. 3 of them though require a Marant. They are Pinwheel, Rising Sun, and Wing Edge, and they can only be used with the throw command. So they're not allowed, as you'll see once we get to the rules. One of them is the Tent. Even though tents do no damage when used in battle, there is a 50% chance to be bitten by a snake, which inflicts poison, darkness, and silence. Then there is the Dark Matter, which deals massive damage. And lastly, there is the Dead Pepper. And to the 98% of people right now going, wait, what? Dead Pepper does damage? Yes, it does, and in a very unique way. Now, obviously, out of all these items I just named, we can only use 3 of them: Tents, Dead Peppers, and Dark Matters, and 2 of them are not available until way later. And the Tent trick does also not work on all bosses. So, how are we going to get around these insane restrictions? Simple. We're going to cheat. Kinda. Let me explain. Well, I'll do that in a minute, but because of this fact, the rules are going to be insanely harsh. But let's explain something. This is obviously not possible in a standard run. This is simply a fun little torture session I decided to put myself through for your entertainment. Now, with the cheating that I just mentioned, let's actually explain it, shall we? And we'll go over the rules for this run at the same time. So, firstly, Rule 1. I will edit the save to have 99 Dead Peppers in my inventory. However, I'm only allowed to do this at the very start of the game. These must last me all the way until Disc 3, where I can earn more. Rule number 2, items only. I mean, duh. This means no stealing, no magic, nothing. I'm not even allowed to use auto abilities which inflict damage, such as counter or auto reflect. Rule 3, if I run out of attacking items, it counts as a game over. Rule 4, no cotton road trick. Gil is going to be insanely helpful this run, so of course I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot. Now, I said that the rules would be insanely harsh, right? Well, they are. I'm extremely limited in my Dead Peppers, and while they do 30 damage for each one in my inventory, I only have 99 total until Disc 3, and each one I use reduces the damage of the next, and so on so forth. This means early enemies will die quickly, but later ones will take longer and longer. Likewise, I'm going to have no way of leveling. I need to save all my peppers for bosses. After all, this means I'll have to skip every single random encounter, meaning this is going to be a low level run made even harder until Disc 3. Also, with these rules, I can only get a single Dark Matter as well, if we can even make it that far. Honestly, I think this time I've actually come up with an impossible challenge. Will I have enough Dead Peppers to get through? Will I survive long enough in later fights to even use them? Will I even tell you about my sponsor? Me! I don't have enough Twitter followers to get sponsors that aren't terrible mobile gotchas, and I'm not gonna shill them. So if you want to massively help the channel out, drop me a follow on Twitter and help me get some engagement on there. There's a link down below called Linktree, and all my socials are on there. Following and engaging is totally free after all. Likewise, remember to drop a comment and a like on the video, and subscribe if you're into these insane challenge runs. Of course though, if you want to support financially, then consider becoming a Patreon to get tons of benefits like early access to videos and more. Or buy some sick merch, primalstore.net. So, now that I've chilled enough, let's do this. And like always, I'm writing this script as I go. That means I have no idea what is going to happen yet either. And we run into a problem straight off the bat. I can't create a save just yet to add in the dead peppers. So, since we're already cheating, we're gonna cheat a little bit more. Baku would only require 1 dead pepper to kill, so I'm just gonna murder him and then add in 98 peppers instead of 99. We also called today in Twitter because of subliminal messaging. I must admit though, it always hurts when I can't steal the Mage Masher. Anywho, on to Vivi. I rush through Alexandria, not even bothering to grab the items so I can save the game. This is where I mod in my 98 peppers. Now we can spice everything to death. So, let's see if we can actually do this, shall we? King Leo goes down in 1 pepper, dropping my count down to 97. And therefore, the damage of the next one goes down to 2,910. And then, because I'm going to need tons of items later, I make sure to impress 100 nobles in the sword fight to get 10,000 gil. Honestly though, I'm not all that hopeful about this run. I feel like we're gonna run out, but hey, fingers crossed. Also, the first few fights are obviously going to be one-shot with our rules and the way dead peppers work, so enjoy a small clip from each one while I do some talking. Firstly, let's talk about the limitations of this run. Firstly, we have 98 peppers to get through the rest of the game. This means all bosses and non-avoidable fights in Disc 1. And while using a dead pepper with 98 in my inventory deals 2,940 damage, that means I also then only have 97 in my inventory. And as such, the next one I use will deal 2,910 damage. So they get weaker every time I use one. We also have no way to stock up on more until we get the ship in Disc 3, as that's when we can get the mountain Chocobo and they start spawning in Chocobo Hot and Cold. So yes, the first few fights are a cakewalk and start off getting one shot, but what about later when, let's say I have 50 peppers left and they're doing 1,500 or less damage each, and of course mob and boss health will be higher then as well, meaning it takes more peppers, further reducing my damage as we go. This means instead of the run getting easier as we go, it's actually always going to get harder. Likewise, I can't afford to use them on random battles because I don't even know if I will have enough as is. This means I can't level up, and the only ability points I can get are from bosses. So hopefully now people can understand why I said this is going to be potentially an impossible challenge. After all, think about it. We're going to have to waste peppers on things like black mages in Gizmaluk's grotto or boss ads. Now, after this little monologue, I have no idea where the video would be up to, so let's just go with Plant Brain just died and how I'm really not happy about having to waste 4 dead peppers on the plant mobs in the fight after. For Ice Cavern, we have to be careful as well. If I run into the smoke gazer thingies, we are forced into a battle, which would waste even more dead peppers. We absolutely cannot afford that, so I disable fast forward and even give up on the items in here to be extra careful. Sea Lion and Black Waltz 1 go down after dropping me to below half health, but I'm already down to 84 peppers and we aren't even at Dolly yet. Now I'm almost sure we're gonna run out before we get the mountain Chocobo to farm more with. In Dolly, I buy one of every piece of gear so I can try and learn some abilities from bosses and also finally stock up on potions. It's not going to be long until bosses start surviving the peppers after all, so I want some extra healing ready for that. Once we save Discord though, I get an idea. We can fight ghost mobs in here and they're undead, meaning they take damage from healing items. This means I can kill them with potions. It's risky given my low health right now, but it works to gain a few levels, and I earn more gil from them than I'm spending on potions. I only wish I had some decent abilities to learn here, but if I can make it through to disc 2, then I can come back here with dagger later. For now though, I just gain a few levels to get a little bit of health and then go murder Black Waltz 2 and 3 before we end up in Lindblum. I don't really care who wins the Festival of the Hunt here. Sure, the Coral Ring would be nice, but it's not like I'm going to farm Grand Dragons anyway, so I just jump into a fight and let the mob kill me. Freya ends up winning anyway. Now, I don't even bother doing any shopping in Lindblum. I let Merch put us in a deep sleep because it's clearly so comfy, and then it's off to get Quinna, who I absolutely name Moop for revenge for all the horrible names he's made me use in the past. I'm fully aware he's going to get revenge for this, but that's future Primal problems. If you want to see his eventual revenge though, join the Discord server and follow me on Twitch, as he's most active in those two places. Anywho, Chocobo Forest time, and we need multiple things from here, sadly. 1, all the Chocographs. 2, an insane amount of gil. 3, a cluster of items. And 4, a set of Robe of Lords for Vivi, Quinna, Aiko, and Dagger. The defense will be kind of helpful for now, but if I can actually make it to disc 3, then these are going to be instrumental in 4 or 5 late game fights. I also do frog catching for the rewards here as well. Once I hit 45 frogs though, I stop, as this gives us the rewards for an ether at 5 frogs, silk robe at 9, elixir for 15, 23 is a silver fork, 33 is bistro fork, and 45 is the battle boots. 15 hours later, I have 375,000 gil, a boatload of items, and I even got the Barrette extension and Kakusha from all those games of Hot and Cold. They won't give me too much help in this run, especially since only female characters can equip them, but ability up and level up will be nice for Dagger later. Then it's back to Lindblum to buy a bunch of gear and get the synth gear. I messed up though. I forgot to buy an extra feather hat in Dolly, and the only one I had is equipped on Dagger, who decided to bloody run off, so I can't make a yellow scarf for now. So onto Gizmaluke's Grotto, where we're forced to waste 4 more dead peppers on 2 groups of black mages, and then we're going to farm here. We can fight skeletons in here, and they are undead. This is the last time we can fight undead enemies all the way until the Eiffel tree, and they're gonna be much stronger. So we're gonna farm here for AP and learn the abilities we have. It takes 3 potions per skeleton kill, but they drop potions and a ton of gil, so we can always go buy more when needed. We also do the Chocographs at this point as well. We are now at the point though where bosses take more than 1 dead pepper to kill. I had to use 2 for Gizmaluke, so things are going to start getting tougher and tougher, especially with the fact I now can't do any grinding for a very long time. That means I'm basically locked at my current levels. Next up is an upgrade for Choco, and then backtracking for more Chocographs. What's annoying here is one of the chests contains 8 Rising Suns, items designed to do damage, but they only work with a Marant's throw command, somebody we aren't going to unlock until late disc 2. So not really sure why they're available right now, but hey, oh well. Next up is more black mages, and this time I actually decide to be smart. Instead of using my valuable dead peppers, I'm just going to throw tents at them until they get poisoned, and then just wait for them to die. As a bonus, they can't even cast magic, so die really easily. Beatrix just needs to be survived against, so I simply do nothing and heal and revive when needed, and eventually the fight ends. Okay, disc 1 done, and now we're on to disc 2. Up first is Black Waltz 3. However, I'm not going to waste any items on this guy because he's going to kill himself. If Decker is the only person alive in this fight, Waltz just keeps smacking himself to death, so we don't even have to do anything other than laugh at him. We go to the auction house next, where I spend way too much money on a few new pieces of gear, then move on to Ralvahara. The pink snake. On the way to Alexandria, Steiner dies, but we nuke it in 2 peppers. Antlion goes down in another 2 peppers, taking my total count down to 72 now, followed by a bunch of forced grunt battles with the Alexandrian soldiers, but I tent them until they get poisoned by the snake. Same with the black mages in Clara. I do get insanely unlucky with one of the soldiers though, taking an entire 6 tents before poison lands. And lastly, Beatrix is just ignored and healed through. Now we're off to Alexandria, where I game over as Steiner and Marcus. I don't have the survivability for these fights because I completely forgot to change their gear. I even go as far as using some dead peppers to end the fight quicker, but attempt to when remembering to change gear, and it's fine. We have to ignore Tantarian though. I just don't have the stats or health to survive, and I don't have enough items to kill it either. As much as I would love haste right now, it's just not possible. So it's on to Zorn and Fawn, where we use 3 more peppers, taking me down to 65. Another defend against Beatrix fight, and then it's a mob rush where I use a few tents and another 10 peppers. That means we're now down to 55, and there's so much further to go yet. I really need to save as many of these as I can. For now, because I'm actually getting worried on running out, so I'll ask you all who are still here right now, drop a comment. Do you think I will run out, or will I make it? Well, Ralph Monargo hits me with a party-wide Fundara, and then it's 3 dead peppers to take it out, down to 52. Small shopping spree in Lindblom, and then it's off to Garganru. We avoid fighting the demon cart thingy because we can't afford any more pepper uses, and then Lani appears. She targets Dagger because of course she does, then after 4 peppers she's down as well. But my pepper count is now getting lower and lower and lower. We have 48 peppers, a ton of bosses, and forced fights coming up. And my peppers are also getting weaker and weaker, meaning the fights are going to need more and more of them. I think my rule set might have been a little too strict. Anyway, dig up a new chocograph, visit the dwarfs and a black mage village, name Ico as Ico? Look, I'm out of subliminal messages right now, so I'll just be up front and say like the video. Then we have everybody's favorite boss to steal from, Hilgigas, who we thankfully do not have to steal from, but he has 8,000 HP and deals a boatload of damage and has a big AoE attack. He opens up with Earthquake, dealing huge damage to Twitter. The mages get off okay thanks to Robe of Lords. Then begins the spam. He uses another Earthquake which drops the Dane really low. 1 more Earthquake and he dies. Dagger is also getting low, but because we're not stealing and can just attack, we manage to take him down. But now we're down to 42 peppers, and we still have the Lifer Tree, Amarant, Silver Dragon, the Mistodons, and the start of disc 3 to go. I'm now almost positive I'm going to run out of peppers after all. Amarant alone has 9,000 HP, and Zidane has to do that fight alone. And that's why we're going to grind in the Lifer Tree. Reason being, everything in here is undead, meaning I can kill them with potions and Phoenix Downs. Then, when I'm running low, I can run back to Madansari to buy more. For stroppers though, we use a soft on them. For myconoids, the big mushrooms, we use the tent trick. It's not fast because poison only does 85 damage a tick, and they have more health than previous mobs, but it does eventually kill them. The goal is to learn abilities with everybody and get Zidane some levels. Might seem counterproductive since I don't even know if we can get much further, but I'm not going to pass up such an amazing chance to grind just in case. Next up, some mandatory fights in the Ifer tree with 3 zombies and then a dragon zombie. These get taken out with high potions, and now with having auto potion on most characters, I don't have to worry too much about my healing at this point, which is a huge relief for me coming up to a Morant. Soul Cage we kill off with an elixir to keep as many peppers as I can. Now, speaking of a Morant, I don't actually have to worry too much about his damage, as I have auto potion and a decent amount of health now. I'm in my 30s for levels. I also found out something very unique in this fight. Normally, a Morant takes extra damage when he's near the 3rd pillar, counting from the left. However, items bypass this and he only takes normal damage from the peppers. Eventually though, after the hottest curry he's ever had, he decides he's in extreme need of a toilet. So he runs off, leaving my pepper count now at just a measly 34. Now it's back to the Ifer tree where I realize we don't actually fight Silver Dragon here, which is great as well. As for the Meteodons, I take them out with high potions. And with that, we're on to Disc 3. We buy the Dark Matter in Trino, an item that will deal 9,999 damage when used. However, with my rules for this run, this is the only one we will obtain in the game. So we have to be super careful with when we actually use this. If I waste it too early, it means we can potentially completely screw us later. So this has to be planned out. Back in Alexandria, murder the Meteodons with more high potions, and we once again skip Tantarian, which hurts my soul. I would love the haste shoes, but I just don't have enough peppers to kill it with, and I'm not wasting Dark Matter on a totally optional fight. Once we turn Sid into a frog as well, we gain the ship, and this means we can do more Chocobo hot and cold. Get the mountain and ocean Chocobo and stock back up on dead peppers at long last. We actually freaking made it. I cannot believe it. We can finally get more peppers, which means we have a chance now for this run. That's only a chance though. Remember, there's gonna be mob and boss rushes later, which we can't refill our peppers for. Like in Terra, there's 9 forced fights in a row, with some of them having over 40,000 health each. That is going to be the stumbling block, I think, and where I'm going to save my Dark Matter for. And before that, we have the whole deal with Kuja where we need to do his palace and the outer continent. And finally, the volcano, without being able to restock as well. So, let's do Chocobo hot and cold, get our mountain upgrade, farm peppers, get the ocean upgrade, and then collect all of the available chocographs. Once we get the ocean upgrade though, I'm going to do the ocean bubbles and mountain cracks that are available, so I can refill my peppers while hunting for the rest of the chocographs back at the lagoon. Once everything is dug up, it's time for a big grind, but not a level grind. Instead, I'm going to get every character to learn all currently available abilities from all the gear I have. And I'm going to do it on the weakest mobs possible near Ice Cavern and Evil Forest. Reason being, I don't want to level up. I feel like if I'm going to have any success later on with surviving the fights, I'm going to need to pay attention to my stats. So I want to minimize my EXP gain at this point. I also now have a source of peppers, so I simply use them, going back to refill as required. This step alone takes forever. We go through the peppers pretty fast, and some of the abilities need over 100 AP, meaning I have to restock peppers many times. Once it's all done though, we're off to Kuja. Now, normally you would split the party here, as the Dane's group can't use magic. However, that's a pointless limitation for us right now, so instead we're going to focus on the bosses themselves. Arc is much more dangerous, so I'm going to send 3 of my highest level characters to fight that, and the other 4 can do Kuja's Palace. Before Oilvert though, I grab the Mountain Cracks and Chocographs here and then move on to fight Arc. Confuse immunity helps a ton, and even though Vivi got hit by Proton early, lowering his HP down to just 1, he does not get attacked again, but it did take 8 peppers to kill Arc. Now I'm even more worried about Terra. I just don't know if 99 peppers is enough to get through there. Afterwards, in Kuja's Palace, we have the lovely defense system, which we neuter by getting all the blood orbs, so Valapira goes down as one of the easiest bosses. He does attack Quina with Fire, which just tickles, then a couple more peppers kills him off. Honestly, I knew this guy would be easy because, I mean, he always is. Then, in the volcano, we have a forced fight with 2 red dragons. They have decent health and can use Twister, a big damage AoE attack on me. Vivi and Dagger are immune to it, but Zidane and Amarant get hurt badly by it. I finish the fight up with 76 peppers left. We still have to do Multi-Gemini yet though, and Aiko has no gear for it, so she's gonna be mostly useless. I also make sure everybody has antibody on to protect against Venom. I just wish I didn't bring Dagger with me. A shame I can't equip antibody though, as I thought I would have another chance after the red dragons. Turns out I don't. Now, Mog murders Zorn and Fawn, which I have no control over FYI, so does not violate the rules, and then we're up against the Chimera Malty. Everybody gets virus, so I get no AP from the fight, which sucks but is semi-acceptable given what I'm about to do soon. After way too many peppers, Malty does go down, and we gain an airship. This means a ton of things for us. Firstly, we go to Quan's dwelling with Vivi and Quinn are in the party to get a pair of running shoes, so we finally have auto haste. Then we go dig up the final Chocograph pieces, get a Sky Chocobo, and go to Chocobo Air Garden where we get the final Chocographs and dig them up. Next step is to go to Chocobo's Paradise, and because we dug up all of the graphs, the Chocobo next to Fat Chocobo will refill our dead peppers to 99, which means no more freaking farming hot and cold, as we can infinitely do this. I absolutely adore this minigame, but Jesus Christ, farming so many dead peppers was actually a nightmare. Now we go to Trino, kill the Amdusius for another pair of running shoes, and do Degorio for more gear. Before we head off to Ibsen's castle, it's time to prepare for Terra, where we will have 7 mandatory fights, with 3 of them being bosses with over 40,000 HP. This means even a full stack of peppers and my dark matter might not get me through it, but also I might not be able to survive long enough to try. At this point, I'm going to play things very safely by stat maxing now. However, we can't do it properly with all characters just yet, as some of them need gear from Terra or on Disc 4. However, we can do the mages, as we're going to be focusing on 2 stats, since the other 2 are useless to me. Magic and strength do nothing in this run, so we're going to focus on speed and spirit. especially Spirit, which gives a huge amount of benefits, like stronger and extra regen ticks and speed for more turns. This is going to give us the best advantage we can have and hopefully be enough to survive. So we're going to pick 2 mage characters first, since I only have 2 running shoes. I'll do Dagger and Quina, then I'm going to equip them with Bandana, Enkai Armlet, Robe of Lords, and running shoes. This is the best equipment in the game for equal stat growth for mages, for spirit and speed. Dagger can also throw on the Stardust Rod though for extra spirit. The others don't need any weapons. Then we're going to equip Auto Life, Auto Regen, and Antibody on them for auto abilities to help with survivability. After we get some more levels and unlock more magic stones, I'll also equip Level Up and Auto Haste. I do wish I could use Auto Reflect, but it's banned in the rules, so oh well. Next up, I'm going to farm Grand Dragons. With the mages in the back row and equipped with a Robe of Lords, the dragon won't do much with his melee attack. Antibody protects me from Venom Breath, giving me a free turn, and the last thing to watch out for is Thunderger. This is where I need Auto Life and Auto Regen to come into play. I can't swap any gear around to protect myself from Thunderger since I'm farming stats, so I just need to get lucky on what he does. Just a shame he's immune to silence and darkness, otherwise Tentric would be amazing here. So I use a few peppers to kill off Zidane, who can't be removed from the party, and a mage character I'm not leveling right now, and then begin. This way we can stat max Zidane later, and the other mage won't have bad stat gain due to not being able to equip all the required gear. But I get slaughtered by Thunderger. So for the first few levels, to get some basic health going, I equip Coral Rings. It's not ideal, but gives me spirit growth anyway, so it's not exactly terrible. Once all is said and done, this is what things look like stat-wise. Now, it's time to go and do Ibsen's Castle, and do Taharka. But with my 3 Uber Mages now, he of course does not stand a chance. Interestingly as well, his coil mechanic actually doesn't do anything when using items. Same with Leech, really, he goes down rather effortlessly and without worry. But now we have a problem, because it's time for Terra, and if there's anything that can stop this run, it's here. So let's prepare, shall we? First, I give Zidane a Gaia Gear to absorb Earth and a Coral Ring to absorb Thunder, and make sure Antibody is equipped. For Dagger, I protect against Earth damage with Auto Float. Quina and Steiner, I make absorb Thunder damage, and Freya and Amarant, I give Antibody to. So, we go back to Paradise, refill my peppers, and off we go to Terra, and advance to the boss rush with awesome, insanely good music. First up is Amdusias, who goes down in a few peppers, then it's Abaddon, and finally Shell Dragon. 3 bosses down, and now I'm left with 80 peppers. But I still have to fight Silver Dragon with 25,000 HP, Garland with 40,000, and Kuja with 40,000. That's a combined amount of 105,000 HP. Dragon first though. He gets a few slashes on me, but auto regen covers that, and his twister is negated on the mages by Robe of Lords. It took 11 peppers though, dropping me to 69. Nice. What's not nice is Garland next. He goes for Quina first and barely tickles him, and then the pepper spam begins. He hits Aiko with Wave, but that gets healed after a few seconds. Flare also only deals around 1,000 damage, so I can safely survive. But when all is said and done, I finish the fight with just 45 peppers left, and they get weaker each use. I don't think I can kill Kuja with peppers. I might actually have to use my dark matter here. Kuja opens with Thunderger for 500, and I use Spicy for over 1000. At this point though, I see my damage going down and down and down, and realize I actually won't have enough peppers. I get down to 2 peppers left, then 1 pepper left, and then 0, and he's still alive. So I have no choice but to use dark matter. But he survives it. At this point, I'm actually a little confused, so I do some math. With 45 peppers at the start of the fight, I should deal 31,050 damage. Then, with dark matter dealing 9,999, that should be 41,049 damage. Kuja only has 40,000 health, but I looked up anyway, and I was wrong. Kuja has 42,382 HP. That means I was just 1,333 damage short before I ran out of attacking items. So, at this point, we are in a dilemma. I have no way to restock peppers or get more dark matters here in Terra. I could use the throw command with Amarant, since that's kinda like my FF10 item only run, but ideally, I'd like to keep it limited to the item command only. So, I'm going to reload a save from before I came to Terra, and I'm going to kill Ozma. Or try to anyway. Honestly, I don't think I will be able to because of him using Kyoriga and, just downright cheating, but I'm going to try. The reason being, when Ozma is killed, he has a chance to drop a dark matter, which is going to be very helpful. Anyway, so I do the friendly creature side quest, giving them the gems to make Ozma weak to shadow damage. I protect myself to shadow damage, holy, and status effects, and then go into the fight. First attempt starts off amazingly well, actually. I deal a ton of damage without much worry, but then he decides to spam Kyoriga, wasting all my effort. And I quickly realize this attempt is no good. So, reload, try again, and attempt number 2 was also a bust. I can already see this is going to be annoying beyond belief. And likewise, I know it's possible. I just need him to use Doomsday a few times and not spam 5 Kyorigas in a row. Once that pull happens, he should die pretty easily. And I was right. It took over 3 hours, but I eventually got to the God pattern where he died. But he didn't drop dark matter. It only has a 37.5% chance of dropping. So, I guess I need to kill him multiple times. Yay, RNG, right? And then, after 4 days, 4 freaking days, we got it. I cannot describe how happy I am right now. I honestly feel amazing that I beat Ozma with only items. That has got to be the first time it's ever happened, right? But now, I can go and finish Terra off without worry. But now there are absolutely no more dark matters for me. This means in Memoria, I have to use only dead peppers. But we redo the boss rush and Kuja dies. Well, he transies and then blows up a planet, which I somehow survive. Look, I don't get it either, but hey, we're now on to disc 4. Anyway, Nova Dragon takes 21 peppers to get through though, and since I have 78 left, I decide to try Malarius without going back to restock. It works out okay, as I still have 46 left after I managed to defeat her, but that's absolutely not enough for the rest of the fights. So, backtrack and restock, since the next next boss is Tiamat. And this one is dangerous because he has Snort, meaning he can eject my party from battle. Even if he can't kill me, thankfully, a needless concern though. Next is Tentacles. I can ignore Darkness since I'm not attacking, Body Temp means his freeze does nothing, and as for damage, well, I mean, he's weak, like even weaker than my Peppers, so nothing to worry about, as Auto Regen keeps me topped. After I burn through nearly all of my Peppers, he does indeed go down, so I leave and restock again. Then it's time for Leech, who deaths Dagger and dooms Zidane twice. Other than that, nothing much exciting really happened. Before we go for the final fight with Death Guys, Kuja and Necron though, I go back, refill Peppers, stat max Zidane, mainly for the ability crystals for Necron, and then it's time for the final boss rush to see if we can actually do it. Death Guys, well, he dies easily since I have 4 stat maxed characters, making my auto regen insanely OP. But now it's the final fight, Kuja and Necron. But before that, we have one final chance to refill our Peppers. Let's just hope we have enough for both fights, since both bosses know Kyurga. And we're on to Kuja. Guess what his favorite attack was? If you said Kyurga, congratulations, you nailed it. He used it like 8 freaking times, wasting tons of my dead Peppers. Aside from that really annoying thing, Kuja himself was actually pretty easy given my insane regen due to massive spirit growth. Now, I have no idea if I'm going to have enough Peppers for Necron or not, since he also has Kyurga, and I only have 65 Peppers. Not only that, Necron has 55,000 health. Now, some quick Excel work leads me to believe my remaining Peppers are enough to deal 64,350 damage, which is technically enough, but Kyurga can ruin this. Not only that, but he has Grand Cross and Blue Shockwave for me to deal with as well. But I get berserked on Zidane and Aiko, and they do normal attacks, failing the run, so I restart after attempt 1 goes badly. Now on to attempt number 2. And holy Jesus, what a roller coaster attempt 2 was. Firstly, he spent the vast majority of time just casting normal spells and buffing himself, which in this run is useless for him. The few times he used Grand Cross resulted in Zombie on Dagger and Zidane, making it so that auto regen killed them before I could cleanse it, and auto life revive them before they died again, since Zombie persists through death. But cleansing and reviving sorts that little issue. The big problem though is when I'm down to just 20 odd Peppers left. He starts using Kyurga and my heart sinks. Will I have enough Peppers with him now spamming Kyurga every freaking turn? Thankfully, after 3 Kyurgas, he stops and starts trying to murder me again, which lets me get in more Peppers. He uses Grand Cross again, which dooms Zidane and Zombie's Dagger. Both of them end up dying, but thankfully, it doesn't matter. He dies when I have just a dozen or so Peppers left. That's right, he died. We freaking did it. And honestly, I'm not even bothered. All because I beat Ozma using only items. That is honestly the highlight this run as far as I'm concerned. We had a boatload of restrictions this run and didn't even use Amarant's throw command, which, let's be honest, would have made this infinitely easier for me, but we beat Final Fantasy IX using only items. Now, Normally, I would ask you guys here to like, comment, and subscribe, but even though I absolutely think this video deserves it, I'm not going to. Instead, I would love it if you guys could follow my other social medias and join my Discord server. It would actually help a ton more than you might think. Down in the description, you can find my link tree with all my social media links in there. Also, while we're at it, go follow Daff, the lovely editor of this video. And given the length, well, if you don't, I might never be heard from again. So please, #save Primal. And with that, guys, I will leave you guessing at what video is coming out next Friday. Until then, everybody, I shall see you all later. Also, primalstore.net. Bye!